You're so serious.
We just started the broadcast and you jump in. You're ruined already, Stephie. Alrighty, everybody. Welcome to the 9th edition of Beyond Combat, the show that brings together mixed martial arts and the outside world. My name is Nick Baldwin, your host as always. And joining me is a very special guest. You know who she is. If you're a fan of MMA, you're a fan of Bloody Elbow, you definitely know her. It is Stephie Haynes of Bloody Elbow. My colleague, Stephie, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm so sorry I ruined your intro. I didn't realize that we were actually going live at that moment. And you looked so serious. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry.
Yes, I guess I use a serious face when, it's in the 3-second process of hit the go live button, wait for it to happen. There's no emotion needed, but I can't fault you for questioning my straight face.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
Down for that much seriousness.
It happens more often than you would think, maybe, people screwing up the intro. But I remember one time I did Before the Battle. That's the show I do with Jed Mashu and Wes Riddle. At that episode, this was a few months back, it was me and Jed only. Wes wasn't around. And I couldn't remember the episode number we were on, basically until I said it. And it was pretty funny. Another intro screw up. So it's fairly common around here. So not a big deal. Not a big deal.
How old are you right now? I'm
17.
Oh my God, I've known you since you were like 14 years old.
Well, I came on board Bloody Elbow when I was 15, and so.
But you were doing some stuff before then, though. You've been doing.
We would have known each other a little bit before that.
Yeah, you've been doing this since you were like 13, right?
I was 13, 13 and a half or so.
Oh my God. You're still a baby, but you're like the most adult baby I know.
Well, the thing is getting to a point where I don't know if you look at my Twitter bio, but I've kept my age in it just for whatever reason. I don't really know why. I guess it's something subconscious. I want people to know that I'm young for whatever that does for me or whatever. But I'm starting to get to the point where it's like, do I really want to say, oh, I'm a 19-year-old? It's like no one cares at that point. So I'm getting to that age where I got to start debating. I mean, I'm not 13 anymore. 13, that's cool, but I mean, I'm getting to an age where I might need to take that out.
You're old now. Oh my God, you're
not as old as Tim Burke. We can't call me old if Tim Burke is old as well. There's definitely a difference there.
I think Tim and I are among the oldest at Bloody Elbow for sure. I'm old enough to be your aunt.
we could go there, yeah.
Aunt. I'll go with aunt.
I think people know where I guess what you're avoiding to make this show not the creepy episode number 9 or something like that. I guess that's what we're trying to avoid. But anyways, we are here to talk about your business, your family-owned business. You do it with your husband, you and your husband. That's it, right?
Yep.
Very cool. It is called Haynes House Apothecary. Oh, geez, I totally butchered that.
Apothecary.
Haynes Apothecary. House.
Yeah.
I remember when we last did a podcast, there was another word I butchered. It seems to be a trend as well. I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter. But anyways, you have this. I'll just go Haynes House. Keep it short. You make a bunch of natural products. You make tons of stuff from soaps to lotions to even candles. Okay, so let's just start from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. How did this actually start? Because not everybody just starts a business, starts selling these types of stuff.
Okay, so I guess if we go really far back, I'm a nurse by trade, so I know skincare. I know what works and what doesn't. I'm also, thanks to my wonder twin, Ian Kidd, I've learned how to research and research and research. So everything that I want to make requires tons of research before I do anything. And then it requires a long testing phase. So because of that, and because I also am an avid crafter, I sort of married those two things to come up with a bath and body line. And that's basically what Haynes House Apothecary is. It's a luxury bath and body skincare line. And we do make everything under the sun, but I have to correct you because I actually contract out the soaps and the bath bombs. A good friend of mine, my business partner, Lizette Lopez, out at Desert Farm company, she makes our soaps and bath bombs because she is a master soap maker.
But you sell them?
But I sell them. I distribute them, yes.
Okay.
Everything else in our line, I make. My husband doesn't
really
actually
cool.
make things. He handles all the business side and sometimes the packaging of the products and things like that. But he doesn't actually make the stuff. I make the stuff.
Interesting. Okay, so you said that you sort of have a background. I mean, you do have a background in nursing, and so it's helped with you with some of the, skincare and stuff like that. So you just remind me. So you do not make the soaps and what's the other thing?
The bath
stuff. Okay, but you do make the candles.
Wait, no. Listen, bath bombs. They're the little balls, or you put them in that bathtub and they fizz and they make color.
Yes,
those things and the soap. Everything else in the line: lotions, body butters, creams, face wash, anything. Candles, all of that stuff. Wax melts. I make all of that. The only two things that I don't make are the soap and the bath bombs.
So you know what you're doing when it comes to skincare, but how do you extend that and start, making candles and other products like that? It's like, I feel like it definitely takes something that a lot of people don't have. You need to be, I don't know, is artistic the right word? Probably not, but
crafty.
Yeah, that seems right.
And artistic, because there's an art to making all of this stuff. A lot of people refer to home crafters and apothecarians, bath and body people. They refer to them as artisans, especially with what we're doing with candles and wax melts and things like that. But those are the easy things to make. All the home and the home products, like the candles, the wax melts, the linen sprays, the pre-poop sprays. Yes, we make those too. If you've ever seen the product Poopery, we also make a version of that. But things like that, they're much easier to make because they're not to put on your body. So the FDA doesn't require the same set of standards that it does for products that you put on your body that are absorbed by your skin.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Did you ever think about just doing non-skin stuff, or because you have sort of that background, it was a no-brainer, even though you had to take that extra step with the FDA and all of that and being careful?
You have to be very careful. You have to know your stuff. You have to be insured. You have to have a business license. Like we have a formal business LLC. We're insured for a couple $1 million. You have to go through all of that, because if you don't, and somebody, has a bad reaction, or, something happens to them, you have to make sure you're covered. But the skincare stuff, there's not a lot of money in this for starters, just to get that out there. It's really hard to get off the ground. We're barely breaking even, just so we make that clear. A lot of people don't even break even in the first 2 years. So I feel like we're on the right track, because we've only been doing this for 2 years. So we're about at the point where we're breaking even, where that we're making as much as we're dumping into it. But for that first 2 years, my gosh, we dumped a lot of money in and did not see a return.
I'm reading a comment in the YouTube chat. It happens to come from our colleague and your podcast host, Ian Kidd of Bloody Elbow. He says, ask Stephie if any of her creams contain turinabol or GHRP6. Has John Jones been a Haynes House client? He must have.
Oh, no, but you know what? We do have a line of men's care stuff called Dirty Scott that is inspired by Mr. Kidd and his wonderful girlfriend, Tasha Vieira, who does our logos for the Three Amigos podcast. She does a lot of the logos for my products, and fantastic logo for Ian, and we sell a lot of Dirty Scott. As a matter of fact, it is one of our 2 best-selling scents for men, because we have, a men's line and a women's line, and that is one of our 2 best-selling scents.
I think it's fair to say Dirty Scott is sort of inspired by Ian, but I think it has to be a little inspired by John Jones. I mean, Dirty Scott, just the word dirty, there has to be some sort of performance enhancer in that. I mean, I guess it's just a scent, but I don't know, if you smell it, you get stronger. I don't know, maybe.
Everything around Ian makes you stronger. If you know Ian, you are automatically stronger.
I can't disagree with that.
Ian's actually sent me like antique apothecary books from Scotland. I mean, wow. Some really cool stuff. Ian has been a big boost in our business. Just to get that out there too.
That's when you know the guy likes you, when he sends you books from halfway across the world.
My bestie, so.
Yeah. Best friend, podcast host, colleague, pretty much everything. Just not the husband.
Family. He's the work husband. He and my husband are also super close too.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
that's funny how you've. I would assume have you met Ian in real life?
Nope, never. So but we've been friends for
a long time,
7 years now.
Yeah. Did that start just out of curiosity? I know we're getting off track, but that's fine. That things happen. Did you just know him through Bloody Elbow?
Nope, through Twitter first. He actually, before both of us were on Bloody Elbow, we were very close friends, and we did. He was with us for the last year of Tap Out Radio, and then he transferred over with me to MMA Sentinel, and then from there we started Three Amigos podcast. But in the middle, we both joined Bloody Elbow.
Very interesting. Okay, back to Haynes House Apothecary, Haynes House. I'll go short because I butchered it again. What have been the biggest challenges, you think, other than, you mentioned that just making money off it because there's not a lot of money in this business has been difficult. So I guess, is that one of the major challenges, or?
That's the most major challenge for sure, because it takes a lot of money to do what I do. And we've gone through like a metamorphosis several times with labeling, with, product packaging, because a lot of the attraction with these kind of products is centered around product packaging. So I've gone through several phases of product packaging. I'm just now getting where that I like my product packaging, where I'm happy with it, and I don't want to immediately go and change it to something else that I've seen along the way. So that's a challenge, the money. And the other challenge is time, because there's a lot of work and research and time involved in making this stuff. And it's just me making all of that stuff. I have a workroom. It's pretty big, and it's literally wall to wall, from floor to ceiling, with shelves that are just filled with either the stuff that I make the products with all my raw material, or with there's another wall that's just wall to wall shelving filled with the actual products that I've made. And then shipping is a pain in the ass too, because it comes in bursts. I'll have a dry spell for a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden, 20 people want, huge orders. And a lot of stuff I make to order so that stuff doesn't sit on the shelf too long. So, it's a process when it's basically a one-woman operation.
And I think that's how. Well, let me ask you before I continue: is this just a hobby right now? I know you make a little bit of money off it, but is it more than that?
It's more than that, especially with the amount of money we have sunk into it.
Sure.
Definitely more than that.
A part-time thing, you spend enough money or enough time?
I would say it's a part-time job that I hope takes off to where that, down the road we can expand. I would love to get into an official brick and mortar business with it.
Yeah. Did you ever think, looking back maybe a few years ago or 5 years ago, 10 years ago, did you ever think you'd be doing something like this? I know, again, you talked about your background, but did you ever consider that this could be a thing?
I didn't really, but, I work from home, and I did have some downtime. So I started crafting a few years ago, and I have a really good knack for it. I'm quite handy. Ian can tell you that I've sent his girlfriend some things, some handcrafted jewelry boxes and things like that. So I'm very crafty, and it seemed like the next logical step, because I wanted to make candles and I wanted to make soap, but I'm not very good at making soap, and I don't have the time to become a master soap maker, but I was really good at making the other things like body butters and creams like that. I have a real knack for that. I make some excellent skincare products. Ask Karen Bryant. She's addicted to my face care line.
I will have to. I've never talked to Karen, so maybe I won't, but...
Yeah, she just posted today. So if you go to her Instagram, you can find her post from today, where she put up some pictures of the latest box that I sent her.
It must be cool being able to sort of cross Haynes House over with your MMA work, because you're selling stuff to MMA people, and then it gets exposure.
Well, Karen does no. Let's back up for a second here. I give Karen hers. She's excellent word of mouth. So Karen gets hers on the house.
Sure, but I mean, even still, giving or selling, just the fact that you have MMA people using it and perhaps posting about it if they like it.
Oh, for sure. And, there's several people that buy our stuff. Absolutely. Right. But there's a few that I float on the house. Absolutely. Michael Bisping's wife, Karen, I've sent Felice Herrig some stuff, people that are good about putting our stuff out there. And if they have a big enough name, yeah, they get it on the house.
I got to ask you, on your website, I don't see any, but I don't want to make any assumptions. Do you have testimonials?
There is some testimonials in there. There's a few, but the website isn't quite done. We sort of put that to the side because honestly, I don't have the time to get everything done on the website yet. Yeah. I've spread pretty thin.
But imagine though, like you can say Michael Bisping, former UFC champion's wife, says this. I mean, that would be some good exposure as well, or just having sort of her name as a testimonial. I mean, that'd be an advantage, I would think.
Facebook fan page and check out the reviews. There's tons of them.
I believe it. So I don't want you to give out the secrets. I don't want you to list off the recipes, but how do you do it? I mean, how do you just sit down and make, a face cream or, anything else that you do? Like how do you do it? Simple question.
I'm with several wholesalers of the base products like, shea butter, cocoa butter, things like that. You get the products, you research your recipes, you fine tune them to make them your own. You experiment a lot. And for our big seller is it's called Dream Immortelle face cream for women. And it's our #1 seller. And it took me 10 iterations of it to get it right, to where that the current formula is what everybody loves. And it's been our biggest seller for the last year. I mean, it flies. When I put out, we'll put it like this, I make 40 bottles at a time, and inside of a week, they're all gone. And they sell for 25 a pop. So they sell quick.
I think patience is key here. And again, I mean, you can talk about that more than I can because you do it. But I just hearing you talk about that, like I could never sit down, even make a batch of cookies. If I was trying to make my own cookie recipe and did it 10 times, I mean, I wouldn't do it 10 times in a row. I'd do it once. And if they were terrible, I'd obviously throw them out, but I wouldn't try again. I don't think I would. And not a lot of people would. I think patience, I mean, you can attest to this. That might be one of the more important characteristics of someone doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And lots of trial and error, I can't tell you how much stuff that I've made and thrown out because it just didn't come out right. And I have a little group of testers that I send this stuff to, and thankfully they're honest with me. Like, getting the candles right was a big thing because, the wicks are important, the size of the wicks, the type of the wicks. And so, I have testers that would tell me, they burn great, they smell great, except they leave a big rim of wet wax around the side. So that batch went out, got tossed. It's tons of trial and error, and having a group of testers that's willing to tell you where things are, not right, as opposed to testers that will keep telling you, oh, everything is great, just so you keep sending them stuff.
I'm curious, if you don't mind getting specific. So when that person says, okay, there's a bunch of wax around the candle once it melts, what do you change, or what went wrong, so to speak, in that batch?
First of all, you start looking at the wick size. That's typically what causes wax buildup around the edges, is the wick isn't big enough to melt the wax in an even pool all the way around. So basically, a lot of the times it's wick size. Getting the wax formulation, like there's so many different formulas of wax. There's, straight soy wax. There's soy wax with additives. There's para-soy blends, there's coconut and, soy wax blends, et cetera, et cetera. We like to use soy wax. So we use soy wax with an additive to make it where that it minimizes frosting, which is like a white sheen that takes over the top, especially in color candles. So it's a lot of boring sciencey stuff that Ian would be super proud of me that I did all this research on.
I mean, that's another thing. Just, I mean, you've talked about it, but you have to be patient. You have to sit down and do the research, or else it's going to fail.
Yeah, and it's and beyond the research too, the trial and error and the having the product testers, it matters. If you have a product that, you know, you test yourself, you tend to be very biased towards your product and think, God damn, I did good. And you don't see all the fine things that, you know, a real product tester would see, like the fact that there's wax buildup around the very edge. People buy a candle, and if they're going to pay top dollar for a handcrafted candle, for a hand poured candle, they want all the wax to melt. They want to get every nickel, every penny out of that because they're paying top dollar for it. So you have to make sure you get it right.
I'm sorry if I missed this, and maybe you had mentioned it already, but when you say product tester, are these just people that when you have a new product to go on sale, or before they go on sale, do you just hand some out and say, let me know what it's like?
I have a specific group. Okay. There's 6 people, and I send them anything that I have that's coming out before I even get to the point where I'm doing official labels and packaging, and the expensive packaging, because I spend a fortune on our bottles and jars and things like that. I send to these 6 women, and they test it. You know, they put it through, they finish the bottles, they burn all the candles, etc. You know, they run it through the entire length of the product. You know, if I send them a bottle of lotion, I have them use it. Like, I send them typically 2 ounces at a time, something that would last them a month. And I have them put it through all the way from beginning to end, so that they can give me a realistic feedback on the product and tell me the areas, you know, is it too greasy? Does it leave your skin dry? Does it make your skin red? Is the scent too strong? You know, I have like a little checklist.
Was there a time at the very beginning when you didn't have anyone testing your products, or was that? Yeah.
And that was before I actually went into business.
Okay.
I was just making stuff for friends, and, you know, everybody was like, you need to do this, you need to do this. And then once I started doing it, I issued out a few things, and I got some feedback. This is a little too sticky or whatever. So from that point, before I sold anything, because I refunded money in the beginning because I felt so bad that 2 people came to me, and one told me that my one of the lotions left her feeling sticky, and the other one said that the scent was too strong. So I refunded them, and then from that moment on, I started going with product testers. And I've been through a lot of product testers too, because like I mentioned, there's a lot of people out there that just want to get shit for free. Sorry, my bad.
No, you can say whatever you want. It's YouTube after all. Are these people, these product testers, just friends you have in real life, or do you make them random people that you don't know so they're not biased? Or
3 of them were randoms, and 3 are close friends that I trust, you know,
enough.
Implicitly.
Yeah. You mentioned, or we spoke a little bit about the branding side of the business, and you mentioned off the top that that's something mostly your husband focuses on, the sort of the business side of things, dealing maybe with the FDA, which I want to ask you about again in a second. But as far as
directly with the FDA, but you have to follow FDA guidelines with and things like you can't make claims. For instance, I can't say that any of my products heals certain infirmities. Like, I have lots of dry skin stuff that's great for eczema, but I cannot say that it heals or it participates in the healing of eczema. I can say it's good for eczema, and that's as far as I can take it. But I don't even take it there. I don't even put I don't put any infirmities in my labeling or anything, because I don't want to push the envelope in any way, shape, or form. So I err on the side of caution. I have tons and tons of books on FDA regulations and labeling regulations and things like that. And, you know, safety practices, like, you know, you have to keep all your products, at least, you can't put them in boxes on the floor. They have to be at least 6 inches off the floor. And that's not just your finished products. That's all of your raw materials too, the stuff that you make your products with. It doesn't matter if it's, stuff that doesn't touch the skin, like candle wax. It's still part of that whole FDA regulated stuff for where you're making your products. So it has to be 6 inches off the floor. There's the labeling stuff. There's, you have to keep a fire extinguisher. You have to be, within a reasonable distance from your entry and exit, in case of a fire, things like that.
I would assume that with maybe not family-owned businesses, the FDA would do inspections, but you've never had that happen?
I've never had an inspection, but they could at any time.
But they could, exactly. Yeah. So it's not like you can just be fooling around and exactly. FDA, it's like USADA. Fighters can't just be, shooting stuff in their bodies and then all of a sudden USADA shows up and they don't know when.
That's right. And you don't know when, an FDA person could come out. When you register your business and when you get your insurance, you're on the radar. Yeah. So you have to make sure that everything is in order because they will fine you. They will shut you down. And that is not what I'm looking to happen because, like I say, we have a lot invested in this. And I've invested a lot of time in this. It's my baby. So, we're very, very, very careful.
As far as the eczema thing or just anything else like that, like saying, oh, this will help with that. As far as that goes, why you don't say things like that, is that just simply a concern as for if it really isn't, if you think it helps with eczema, but it doesn't, then the FDA, is that like something the FDA could shut you down for or at least?
Oh, absolutely. Typically what they do the first time around is if
remove the product.
They ask you to change your labeling, to remove it from your website or whatever, and to change the labeling. They're not super hard ass right off the top unless you're being really, really unscrupulous. I've just never, I was very careful before we actually went into business. I did a lot of research. I bought a lot of books and I went to the FDA website and I went to there is innumerable amounts of literature out there that you can't go wrong if you just do your research before you get started.
Do you ever think about the fact that, hey, if I say things like, oh, this helps with this and this helps with that and this cures this and it cures that people might be more drawn to it? I mean, it's clearly not worth the risk, but do things like that ever go through your mind where it's like, hey, if I almost like, it's almost like a fair clickbait when it comes to, I mean, it's not clickbait, it's real, but
part of those claims for the labeling extends to your social media. If you look at anything that I tweet out or that I Instagram, there are absolutely zero claims. The only claim that you can make is stuff that is cosmetic, which basically is for moisturization and rehydration. You can use those two terms. If your lotion moisturizes, a face cream or a face oil that rehydrates, you can say clarifying. There's a whole list of terms that you can use, and there's a whole list of a giant list of terms that you cannot use, but it extends to your social media. And so I'm super careful that I never, ever make claims for anything. We have lots of all-purpose balms and gel creams and things like that that are great for a zillion and one things, but we do not make a single claim on that other than it's good to put on your dry elbows, your dry knees, your dry feet. It's great. That's as far as we go because that makes zero claims.
Yeah. I mean, it's a smart way to go. It's the safe way to go. And certainly you can't blame you for that because you don't want to get shut down. As you said, that's not what you're here for. Something I was asking about a few minutes ago was the branding part of things. I know you mentioned that Ian's wife or Ian's partner does a lot of the labeling stuff. And you mentioned your husband sort of focuses on sort of the business side of things. You do the product and making the products. As far as the branding goes, I would assume you're a little bit involved though. I mean,
yes, for sure. But I don't get into the accounting. I don't get like my husband does all our spreadsheets and things like that. He does our product listings and those things, but he's a little social media inadept. He's not very good at that. So I do all of that. Basically, Eric just handles everything from the back business end. I don't mess with that stuff. What I do is I make the products, I blast them out on social media, I design the labels, and I use so some of the designs that Tasha makes for me, and you know, our main logo, I wanted something simple. I just wanted it to be our name with some curly Q font around it, because it's easy to read, and it's a no-brainer, really. You know, you can read it. There's not a heavy logo to adjust or anything like that. So, but she does individual logos for certain of our products, though.
Was the branding stuff something you had to learn about? Because you'd always been a little comfortable with the skin scare, and that sort of led to the other products you make. But was the branding something you had been a little familiar with, or was that something you really had to learn about when you just, you know, decided you wanted to do this?
That was trial by fire, really. That's why we've gone through like four logos now. We're finally happy with our logo, but 4 logos in 2.5 years. So we basically went through 2 logos our first year and 2 logos our second year, and we're on our 4th logo. But I'm pretty happy with it. Product packaging changes all the time as far as individual labels for individual products, and that's where sometimes Ian's girlfriend comes in, and sometimes I just design some things myself.
You mentioned, well, we started to talk about what the goal is, the future of Haynes House, what that might look like. What is the all-time goal? Where do you want to be when this is sort of, when you're satisfied with where you're at?
I want to be in a real building. That's what I want. I would like to be in a real building. I would like to be able to work, you know, 9 to 5 in there, and then do some writing at night for Bloody Elbow, because I'm passionate about Bloody Elbow. I really do like the MMA scene. But I would like to be in a brick and mortar at some point, you know, and doing what I like, because I'm very crafty and creative. You know, not a lot of people know that. And I love that. I love making this stuff. I love selling it to people and having people come back and just rant and rave about how awesome the products are. That makes my day.
Yeah, it must be a little cool though, having it all in your house, all you know, at home. Is that a little cool?
We live in a 2-story house, and so I have to traipse up and down the stairs to constantly to move things from one place to the other, because we have one room that's just for all the raw materials, and that's spread into a second room, and then we have another room that's my workshop. And so unfortunately, a lot of the raw materials are upstairs, but the workshop has to be downstairs, because it has to be within so many feet of the entry to the home, so that in the case of a fire, we can get out.
Okay. So I guess maybe a larger building would not be so bad.
And a 1-story. God, a 1-story.
I guess those stairs, your legs must get tired some days.
No, it's toting around gallon or 2-gallon or 5-gallon buckets of shea butter and coconut and coconut oil and things like that.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, when I think about it, I'm thinking, okay, you have shelves with all these bottles, but I forget subconsciously, okay, so this is where the magic happens. So you don't just have little bottles and I mean, sure, you package them and you put the labels on, but sometimes I forget about the steps before that. Oh, you have to make them. Oh, you have huge, you know, barrels of this stuff. And so that might get a little troublesome, I would think.
Yeah, and I deal in a lot of, like, for instance, we use a lot of sugar and we use a lot of salts for our scrubs. So they're in 5-gallon buckets, and they're on these wheeled rollers to make it, because once you fill them, they're like 50, 60 pounds. So they're on wheeled rollers so that I can wheel them around a little easier.
I read something on the website saying that when a product is vegan, you will say so. Yeah. Why does it matter that it's vegan? Because there's nothing edible.
a lot of vegans don't want to put animal products on their skin.
Oh, that makes sense.
So anything that has, an animal milk or beeswax, even though it's a byproduct and it doesn't harm the bee, it's not considered vegan. Lanolin is a byproduct of when they shear, the wool off of a sheep. It's the oil that's contained in their wool. That's, it's a byproduct, but it's not vegan. So people want to know if a product is vegan or not, because vegans are hardcore. They don't want anything that is not, 100% non-animal.
Well, that's the thing. I for a minute I forgot. Okay, so I'm thinking, okay, so you can't eat this butter, you can't eat this soap, you can't. Okay, so what am I missing? But then I realized, okay, vegans, they don't. It's not just about eating animal product, but it's about just using too. Is consuming, using, putting on your body, anything. It's the use, whether that means you're consuming it or using it in another form.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And I should know that because my dad actually went vegan for a couple months. He quit because it was just kind of pretty difficult, but he was never that hardcore. Like if he's not going to stop using, maybe, I don't know, any sort of product that would have stuff. But yeah, vegans definitely can be hardcore. Many of them are.
Yes, for sure.
That must be not a struggle, I would think, but just something to keep your eye out for, to remember.
Definitely.
Keep in the back of your head.
Yeah, and the vegan products, believe it or not, they're big sellers because everybody wants to go vegan. Everybody wants, no animal products. So they're big sellers.
That made me think of an interesting question. Is it difficult to keep up with certain trends? I mean, do I know all the trends when it comes to these types of products? No, but I would assume you do.
Yeah.
Is it difficult to keep up with? I mean, things are always changing. People start liking different types of shampoos or different types of soaps, or well, yeah, of course soaps, but different types of anything. Anything you sell, there's different varieties and there's upgrades and things change. Is it difficult to keep up with that?
Not really. When you're actually like in the business, and if you really are passionate about it, which I am, first of all, I'm in like 50 different Facebook groups. So the trends are right there in front of me all the time.
Maybe you're starting the trends.
I don't know if I've started a trend on anything. maybe with some product packaging, but nothing as far as actual product because it's all been done before. It really has.
Is that difficult trying to compete with larger companies?
Yeah, for sure. What sucks is, I contract out, like I said, the bath bombs that my business partner makes. I buy those from her and I distribute them, and I make labels that share both of our logos and our websites and everything like that. But you can go to Walmart and you can find bath bombs for like $5 for a pack of 5. Basically, it comes out to like $1 a bomb. But when they're handcrafted and they're using the finest ingredients and there's nothing artificial in them, it sucks because you have to, you pay an arm and a leg for the raw material, and then you put your blood, sweat, and tears into it. So you want to charge, $5 for a bath bomb. And it sucks because these imported ones are $1, but they're, shitty quality. They're small. Their scent doesn't last long, but it's hard to tell people that are on a budget. You have to make them want to spend the extra money on your product, so things like that. Yeah. It's really hard to compete with the big companies.
Do you think the idea that a lot of your products are natural, the fact that you can say this is 100% natural? I know I read on your website that if it's not, you'll definitely say so. You'll say what ingredients are and all that. But do you think that aspect of some of your products is appealing? Whereas you said because it does take a little extra time, maybe a little extra TLC and a little extra money, just because it does have natural products and it is handcrafted, is that still sort of just something, to have to juggle, or do you think it being natural products is appealing to a lot of people?
It's absolutely appealing. It's just the thing is there's a lot of budget conscious people out there that they have to weigh out, do I want to buy, this natural product that costs $5, or do I want to buy 5 of these for $5 and still be able to buy that extra 12-pack of Coke that I want? You know what I mean? It comes down to them juggling their checkbook to be able to afford the all natural product that they're dying to have, but that an import company that makes a lesser quality product is giving them 5 of for what they pay 1 of for the natural product.
I'm gonna ask probably the toughest question I will ask on the show. Do you have a favorite product?
Oh, wow. I'm gonna,
maybe top 3, top 5. Can you go that?
When I make a new product, it immediately becomes my favorite. And right now, my latest baby is I make wax tart clamshells. They're little, clamshells with 6 cavities that hold little squares of wax that you put in a wax warmer. It's like a candle without a flame. Anyways, I'm making a Cosmos series, and I released the Milky Way one, and it's this deep purple wax, and it smells magnificent from the fragrance oil. It's a tropical blend that I put in it, and it's got this amazing glitter, but the way that it's set out on it, it looks like you're looking at the Milky Way. And if you go to our Instagram, you can see that on our Instagram, and it's freaking gorgeous, and it smells great. And right now, that's my favorite product.
Let's move away from Haynes House. And one thing you wanted to touch on, just because you didn't know if we would have enough to discuss when it comes to Haynes House to fill the time, we did pretty good, gonna admit. One thing I do want to touch on real quick before we do go to your giveaway, so that's something I should bring up real quick, is that if you follow us on Twitter, you will know that in a few minutes time we are going to be giving away a massive goodie box from courtesy of you, Stephie, courtesy of Haynes House, and it's super cool. And I'm excited to give this away to one lucky fan that entered over the past couple days. Apologize that the giveaway only lasted a few days. We were initially going to do the show last week, and we would have more time, but such is life. And thank you all for entering. So we'll be giving that away very shortly. I just want to ask you real quick about this Facebook page you have called the Avocado Diaries. So what is this all about?
That's my foodie page, because I'm also an avid foodie, and I'm trying to eat more healthy. Yes, you can probably guess Ian's also the root of that. Because, he works with George Lockhart, and he knows all the most healthy tips and tricks of the trade to get yourself in better shape. So
no steroids in your meat.
You know what? I'm telling you, I don't get the Chinese meat, and I don't get the Mexican meat. So I think mine are steroid free. But I'm currently obsessed with avocados, specifically avocado toast. So that's where the name comes from. But it's a page where that I post all my foodie pics. I'm trying to get a little more artsy with my cooking and my plating and things like that. I have what I like to call stunt plates. I make a stunt plate to take a picture of, and then my husband gets a regular plate to eat. But I post tips, and I also post cooking videos, and also a foodie deal of the day, which actually comes out to about 3 times a week, where that I scour the websites and look for good deals on good products. And, I think the current one is on a super awesome set of steak knives that are full tang steak knives. I don't do this because I'm in cahoots or getting sponsored by any of these companies. I'm doing this as a labor of love.
Yeah. I got to ask you, you said you like avocados, but specifically avocado, you said another word.
Avocado toast.
Oh, avocado toast. So yeah, just avocados on toast.
Like all the rage over here in the States right now at the restaurants. But, you go to a restaurant and you pay anywhere from $10 to $15 for an order of avocado toast as an appetizer.
Really?
And I was like, Jesus Christ, I love this stuff, but I can't afford to go out and eat this every day. So I started buying all the ingredients and making it myself. And I eat avocado toast at least 4 or 5 times a week. And I always mix up the different ways that I present it, and that I the different ingredients and stuff, so that I can photograph it and put it out there.
Hold on. So avocado toast, I just assumed from the 2 words it's avocado on bread that's toasted, but you said ingredients. Is there more to it?
Go to the page. If you here, let me I don't know how to get into the chat part of this. If you look on Facebook, the Avocado Diaries, you'll be able to see the page. I think I actually invited you to it, Nick. And I'm going to be really mad if you did.
No, I saw that, and I accepted a few days ago. Don't worry. Okay, I found a picture, avocado toast. So you got the bread, you got avocado, but you got a whole lot of other stuff.
Yeah. I put all different kinds of things on it: bacon, tomatoes, goat cheese, radishes, jalapenos, cucumbers, chia seeds, spicy pumpkin seeds, you name it. I mean, I've married it with tuna salad. There's all kind. I mean, there's so many different ways. I'm going to be doing a bacon, lettuce, tomato, avocado sandwich sometime this weekend.
Interesting. One thing, okay, I have to say that with avocado, I don't eat avocado all that often, but I remember specifically when I was younger, I would eat avocado with sugar.
You could do it. You could.
Is that something you've done? Is that just not me?
I've never done it with sugar. I typically do it, you know, if I'm just going to eat it plain and simple.
Yeah.
Crack black pepper and Himalayan salt. I do like a little balsamic glaze on it. That's about as sugary as I get. I'm trying to stay away from sugar as much as possible.
I don't blame you. More of a dessert, I guess, or just at the time I'm like 7 years old and anything goes. I can eat everything I want.
Years old like me, sugar is the devil, and it causes you to become inflamed, your joints. So I try and stay away from sugar as much as possible. I do like sweet things, but I'm learning about monk fruit. Like right now, my thing is dark chocolate from Chalk Zero, because it's sugar-free and it's carb-free, because they use monk fruit sweetener. So it's great for keto diets and diabetic diets and things like that.
It's funny that we ended up talking about food after Haynes House, just because I remember earlier in the show when you were talking about, I think we were sort of at the point of you talking about how you make the stuff, and I just got the sense that this sounds like someone who cooks a lot. I mean, I think they kind of go hand in hand. If you're that crafty to make certain products, it really made me think it sounds like a cook as well.
For sure.
And that appeared to be true.
Yep, I am a big time cook, but I've always liked to cook. And like I say, I've always been crafty and like to do things, like to make things. I like to create.
Yeah. Okay, I think we've gotten to the time in the show that everybody else, or everyone, I should say, is probably maybe most excited for. Although I think I would hope you guys enjoyed everything up until now. I would hope so. Anyways, I appreciate if you do are still watching and enjoy this. Do you mind if you go through what exactly we're giving away? Just because you're the person who makes it, you're more familiar than I am. Do you have the list of stuff we're giving away handy?
Hang on, let me just open up the
Twitter
handy graphic I made. Okay, we have, and now this isn't a product that I don't sell because it's something that I specifically reserved for friends, but it's called Lava Dust. It is super hot pepper powder. It's got a combination of Carolina Reaper powder, scorpion pepper powder, ghost pepper powder, and extremely hot cayenne pepper powder, because there's different levels of cayenne pepper powder as they rate on the Scoville heat unit scale. So it is not for the faint of heart. It will set you on fire, but lots of people like it, but used in moderation in your cooking, it can add just enough heat for you. And then we have a 1 2-ounce tin of all-purpose balm. We have a 7-gram tin of solid perfume and the most adorable floral tins. We have an 8-ounce body wash pump. We have a 2.5-ounce wax melt clamshell, a 6-ounce mason jar candle, a 10 milliliter. Now this is a gorgeous 10 milliliter perfume oil roller ball, and it comes in one of our perfume dupes. It will probably be in Marc Jacobs Daisy or in Dolce & Gabbana's light blue. Let's see what else we have. We have a 2-ounce envelope of dry face mask, an 8-ounce jar of coffee scrub, a 4-ounce body butter cream, a 2.5-ounce hand lotion, and 1 7-ounce bath bomb.
Wow, that is incredible. That is a lot of stuff.
It sure is.
Well, thank you firstly for doing this because you did not have to, even though we were supposed to do the show last week and you felt bad, which you shouldn't have anyways, but that's fine. But thank you so much for doing this. And I appreciate it because, giveaways are always fun.
Oh,
And I'm sure everybody who entered and who is hoping they're about to win. Unfortunately, a lot of you are not. I hate to say that, but yeah, this is gonna be cool. Okay, I think without further ado, so I went old style. I got the paper, I got the bowl, I got all the entries written on the paper with pen. I used pen and paper. Do you believe it? I mean, who does that anymore?
Do you kids even use those things anymore?
Somehow we do. I really don't understand how I managed to, but you would have thought at the very least I would have done like a Word document thing, but didn't have time to do that. And here we go. So thank you all for entering. We appreciate that, and good luck to all of you. So I'm just going to go ahead and mix these up a little bit, and hopefully you can't hear the paper rattling too much, which I suspect you actually can. And I have picked a winner, and let's see who it is. All right, there we go. It is at D_ROLON 88 on Twitter, at D_Roland 88. There we go. Congratulations. I don't know if that's backwards or not, but hopefully.
You have it right there. D-Rollon 88.
There we go. Congratulations to D-Roland. Let me
I actually follow him, and so if he could just direct message me his shipping info, and if it's cool, can I say a little something? In the next 2 weeks, we'll be doing another giveaway on our own show, so you guys make sure you check us out, and I'll probably float Nick another box to give away on his MMA show too.
Very cool.
I would appreciate that on his show and let him talk some good MMA stuff.
Yeah, I do the show to get away from the MMA talk because I talk about and write about MMA.
Your other show, your MMA show.
No, I know, but what I'm just saying, I mean, obviously, of course, but what I was just explaining why I do this show to get away from MMA once in a while. But yes, David Rowland, I don't know if you're listening or not, but either way, congratulations. You have won the Haynes House goodie box. And as Stephie said, I'll send him a message and make sure he knows he won, and I'll get him to go your way. And since you're going to be shipping it out to him, I'll let you guys handle that if that is okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Alrighty. Well, I think that is it. Thank you, Stephie.
I get to do my tags, right? Can I?
We are. Yes, we're getting to that. We're getting to that. Thank you so much for what's that?
I'm impatient. I'm sorry.
Well, we just talked about how you have to be patient, so I don't understand this. But anyways, thank you so much for coming on. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it. Hope you guys all enjoyed this. I certainly did. Stephie, now plug away your Twitter, other social media, where we can find your MMA coverage, and of course, what we talked about today, Haynes House.
Okay, Haynes House. You can find us. Hang on, I have to actually look at how many of the underscores. Okay, on Twitter, it's at Haynes_House, and on Instagram, it's at Haynes_House_Apothecary, and the Facebook fan page is just Haynes House Apothecary. You can follow me at Crooklyn MMA. You can follow my bestie and my wonder twin at Ian Kidd. That's IAINKIDD. His amazing girlfriend is, hang on, at Tasha Tiana. But I think there's an underscore in there. Let me make sure, because she's awesome. Okay, at Tasha_Tiana. That's TASHA_TIANA. Follow at Mookie Alexander. You can check out all of our work at Bloody Elbow on Twitter. You can find us at Three Amigos Pod on Facebook and on Twitter, and you can listen to us on SoundCloud under the MMA-Nation SoundCloud. I don't think I have anything else that I should. Oh, and follow the Avocado Diaries on Facebook.
There we go. All right. You guys can find me on the Twitter at Nick Baldwin MMA. You can find all of my MMA writing over at bloodyelbow.com, the best place for all your MMA coverage. Stephie's there. I'm there. What
He's
more
there,
can...
there.
I missed that.
Ian's there. Mookie's there.
Mookie Alexander's there. Tim Burke, the old man, Tim Burke himself. There's nothing wrong.
Tim. I don't know if you know that, but I'm older than Tim. I'm actually old enough to be your mother.
Yeah, we talked about that at the very beginning.
But I refer to it as aunt, but let's be clear. I'm old enough to be your mom.
Aunt, mom, same thing, same age category. But anyways, that's where you can find me on Twitter. You can find all my writing, as I said, over at bloodyelbow.com. That's where you can find some of my interviews. All of my interviews are on this YouTube channel. Some of them find their way over to Bloody Elbow, not every single one of them. You can find my other podcasts, The MMA Circus and Before the Battle, on this YouTube channel. The MMA Circus is also on a bunch of podcasting platforms, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and so on, and also Bloody Elbow. Before the Battle and This Show Beyond Combat is exclusive to this channel. If you enjoy this podcast, please give us a thumbs up down there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already down there. And if you have any feedback for the show or anything else I do or Stephie does, drop a note down in the comment section down below, and we would really, really appreciate that as well. I think that's it. Stephie, thank you again. Really appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for tuning in. For Stephie Haynes, my name's Nick Baldwin, and we're out.